Good morning, everybody. So we'll begin.
Yes.
So we'll begin with the opening prayers on page 1, once in English and once in Tibetan. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and unknowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Namke Tadanyambe Semchen Tamche Chochu Du Songge Deshi Shiva Tamche Ko Zong To Yoden Chunle Tamche Ngor Yurba Chuje Pombo Tongra Jeju Zayin June Pabe Gendu Tamche Ngada Chunchen Zawa Dan Jubara Jebe Parden Lama Damba Namla Japsun Jiwo Yedan Jingoro Je Lazo Namla Japsun Jiwo Sanje Jomden De Namla Japsun Jiwo Tambe Ju Namla Japsun Jiwo Babe Gendu Namla Japsun Jiwo Bawo Enkandro Jujon Zungme So Yeshi Jijan Demba Namla Japsun Jiwo. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhichitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path.
Choying Sanje Namla Jasunji Chudan Janjo Sambaye Solan Dejin Jasunji Jadang Deji Janjo Tuning Givadang Janjo Simbe La Bala Dadai Nevada Dejin Rola Pendant Janjo Sene Gijin Dejin Tana La Bala Remba Jindu La Bala.
In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. And by the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Sanje Churan Soje Jonam La Janjo Bardo Dane
Gyabsuji
Dagi Jiso Gibe Sonam Gi Rola Benje Sanje Drobaisho.
May all mothers, sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow.
May they rest in equanimity,
free from attachment and aversion.
Ma nam ga dan nyam be sim chen tam je dewa dan devi ju dan tembarai jo je dunga je ju dan tawai jo je dunga me be dewa dan mendrawa jo je niren ja dan
Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying maras, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror, together with your disciples, please come here to this place.
Bandra Samanza, Bandra Samanza, Bandra Samanza, Malazam Kunje Gwanjo Jin, Dude Bonje Mezen Jumzela, Muna Malazin Jenjobe, Chumden Gorje Nendre Jesus, Argan Badan Bube Dube, Alogen Gende Nen, Abda Bratiza.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate.
tamje zobe shang Khenpo.
Page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the three realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the five wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcend and conquer the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, even then I prostrate, possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment, to you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you, among the 3 levels of existence, is most exquisite. Unparalleled omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Sravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground basis for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone, the pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth, to the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the 3 higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha, I also prostrate. And then back to page 9.
Namo Nazi Namda Ge Lama La Nazi Jirjin Zon Jurbanbo Korwa Yondro Te Zorwande Korwa Tondro Zinjela Jeji Norwa Zoge Jina Mazam Jume Jarweto Tembe Yishi Ngadandan Zere Dani Garijin Rawa Junze Rumboche Dazimni Jingane Zorwande Chuni Jingande Jinjilo Zandone Jime Namdande Lode Chuk Toba Jinjilo Jum Dende Tijin Jiba Jamba Yantavara Zobe Sanj Rigvadan Jabza Damba Devara Shiba Jiden Jimba Jivan Dorva Zombayam Shaji Jarbu Shabji Dore Chama Mebala Gorado Dode Kubi Janzalo Kanze Kanye Zoe Chudanze Yende Lai Gomba Duwane Ngane Jiganda Nain Jojesu Tezenge Bai Julai Janzalo Nanda Kamain Jodo Sozang Yeshi Janzo Zerje Lumbo Nda Drabain Jidan Zona Longewa Gombo Johnny July Janzalo Senjoy Dambai Jimin Dawe Shazen Lord Rawai July Janzalo Tudare Junda Ziba Zonan Zinyamin Chen July Janzalo Menjoy Darwai Kaloi Junzi Jen Kunjur Inchimwai Junzi Tejin Wambo Shijin Yeshi Shilan Kinyin Yu Shuba Telai Janzalo Gombo Tuji Chedan Batam Jin Chenbe Tomba Zunam Yoden Janzo Jin Diji Yelai Janzalo Akban Doja Char Jegeving and Zon Leruj Jeda Todan Jojo Vaishijore Chulai Janzalo Trune Truya Lamyan Dan Laban Talai Rabde Shinge Tamba Yoden Kundu Layan Janzalo.
Page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjushri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appear during the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas with the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointment, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense. I make offerings to the victorious ones with the finest cause, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways. I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the bodhisattvas, the pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together those who intend to demonstrate Nibbana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. And so then back to 14.
Ambaban Jambara Shanu Jurwala Janzalo Shini Sodai Joji Jidana Duzon Jibai Meji Singregan Dagi Malu Datam Lalu Dangaye Tangwe Jaji Wasamboy Jubi Malam Tobda Gijarwa Tamji Mazanda Jenge Lura Dubai Jarwa Kunla Rabda Jansalo Dorje Dana Turni Sanje Na Sanje Sije Wana Juba Dada Juji Yena Maluba Tamji Jarwa Dagi Kanwa Tadai Ngaba Meze Janzo Na Yangji Yanlai Janzo Dragunji Jarwa Gunji Jujin Dewa Shiva Tamji Dangi Do Medo Tamba Chingwa Tamba Dan Sinye Namdan Juba Dongjo Marmi Jodan Dubu Tamba Ye Jawa Tada Lane Jubaraje Naza Tamba Namdan Chenjo Dan Chime Rura Nyamba Dan Goba Jeba Babin Chogun Je Jawa Tada Layan Jubaraje Chuba Kana Lame Jajewa Tada Jawa Tamje Layan Mozambo Jula Deve Dobda Ge Jawa Gunlai Jan Jindu Jai Jedan Demo Wange Ne Ludan Adan De Jin Yi Jan Deva Da Ge Jeba Jin Ji Ba Da Tamje Da Sozo Jai Juju Jawa Gundan Sanje Ziranja Namdan Lobdan Melo Drawa Gunji Zonama Kanla Yan Dada Gunji Jezo Da Yiran Kana Juj Jiden Drama Da Janjo Rambara Sanje Maja Gomba Dada Dagi Tamje Lan Kola Lana Mebara Kurwara Go Nyangan Dadan Konjit Londra Kunla Penjin Deve Karwai Jingi Dorni Jubarai Dharma Raja Zorwaji Chansarwa Dan Jujin Yaba Dan Jisu Yeron Gorshin Zorwai Kewa Junze Dagi Jizaba Tamji Zobe Chanjo Chemo.
So page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Samje Namje Sambatan Loye Jera Jedawa Chechun Timon Tibaye Chujin Kolo Gordozo. Thank you for coming. And I think there's people online joining us. And we start from here. We just finish if you are new, we just finished our daily prayer, which is, you can see how important it is, mainly everything in there. So through chanting this daily prayer, that is the whole entire practice of the either we call Mahayana or Tibetan Buddhism or Vajrayana, doesn't matter. It's in there. And of course, through there, we already at least change our motivation, or our motivation is at least in a good, right direction or good direction. If not, you can still turn your good motivation into right direction while I'm chanting my lineage prayer, which if you are new, that's our Tibetan style of teaching. Shini dungu shi shin sik ben chen se jin ko ra gong shin ro kun tsam o men pa san ze lo ro gun de nyan de ko dong yi she zhe ba me gong Choying ka lan ze ba kong yin bra chu na gun he ga we so gen cho yin ro be ma kar bon zan be sho le song wo zhe dong ge cha ning ge ma zhe lo zhong jo zhe we yong jing a ge pa mo da ye jong Kongro garan chen nying bongo yoden kunjung gawe jizarda nying bo tongse bebe nanjurwa chimme wazara shabje da yi jong chedra jawe se po shiwala nandar chobe wangchung shawara san pangcho dang arandru Jingme chuji wambara kujanza rikdong jambara shunin shilale kumbe longle babe darje chor longto chunze janso ngadai me pam jamyo nam jala kujanza yoden sanje gun tanyam nayang karin sanje gun le labing Zawe lama dala sarvande dason drove lo na chulai jo. Nga zo pubi luksu la karbo che la neden sa jiyor. Kar chenpo ina tali yangchur neden chi labgo ha jiyor. Te indu ta changchup chot semchi Zambacha chewa shangchum chot semchi ba. Semchi jibi kapsa tse meba hiyi ko ne nyingji chamba kawa tongnyum namba hiyi ko ne tani sem jigi yore tenindu shangchum chot tok jiba rinpo che sar tabde semba nawar hyos asa ta pubi chu hibi kapsa tangpa tebi tenris ma shuguyor tenindu ane changchum chotu tokji barim bochete zandem narochis.
So in Tibetan, it is said that which is important or is of great importance, we have to, one should really apply oneself in or make effort, meaning that again and again we have to apply ourselves or make effort in those things which are of importance. And so here, what is of great importance is the mind, the precious mind or supreme mind of bodhichitta. And so bodhichitta is developed through or by means of or through the method of cultivating the four immeasurables. So the four immeasurables being immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, immeasurable joy, and immeasurable equanimity. And then based on developing these vast intentions or mind states, then it develops into what we refer to as the precious and supreme mind of awakening or bodhicitta. And so it is, in the Tibetan tradition, it is said that it is most important to cultivate this level of motivation when listening to the Dharma teachings. So please generate the supreme mind of awakening or bodhicitta as you listen.
Tene danda Choying zo hiya dayang so Chanchup Gisem, Tishigor, the Hindu, Chanchup Sems, I think that's Tambo Kunz of Chanchup Sems, Telayan, Momba, Chanchup Sem, then Juba Chanchup Sems in. Tangatsu Tiki Gogor, Tan Tambo Sem, Kunlang say, I think up so. Kunz of Chanchup Sem Tiki Gogor. Te turn G Goya turn da Jim Sandra, Gopadi, Tene. Tondam Shanchup Semt, Julie Chidula, then Queens of Shanchup Semt, Jigger. The Indian at so Choying Dzod, the heavy cabs, so Julia Dzod, and Todam Shanchup Semte, Higure, the Hindu, that your Tonchina, Tikba Chimbogi, Salam Ji Yodens and under Nyamle Tam Chid. Chanchup Sem Mai Baji, Yomaris, that in the song of the Hindu, Dandurna, Nyamlanji Yin is on there. Chanchup Gisem Dan, Der Gogore, Chanchup Gisem Da Mandrena, then Nyamlan, Yang Tapa Chago Yomare.
And so, in this text, which is the Choying Dzod, or what is translated here as the basic space of phenomena, there is a lot of mention of this term, Jangchub Sem, or bodhichitta, or translated sometimes as the mind of awakening, or here actually the awakened mind. And there it is to be understood that this term is referring to like different qualities of this in different contexts. So we have, for instance, the relative bodhicitta, which is comprised of the two types, the aspiration bodhicitta and application bodhicitta. And so when we're referring to bodhicitta in this sense as, for instance, giving rise to a pure motivation or kind of directing our intention, then this is referring to the relative bodhicitta. And then in order to like achieve that aspiration, then we apply ourselves, in the path of practice as the application bodhicitta. But the ultimate bodhicitta is kind of the real meaning there, like that we are, that is the result, and that is based on, in order for that to arise, one has to first develop the relative bodhicitta. So in this text, the Choying Dzod, when bodhicitta is referred to, it is mainly referring to the ultimate bodhicitta. And actually, again, in the English, what you will find as the translation for that term is the awakened mind. So this is because it is referring to the ultimate level bodhicitta. But in general, when it comes to the Mahayana, all the qualities of the paths and bhumis are based on, or they're bodhicitta. They are an expression of bodhicitta. There's nothing in the entirety of the path, actually, that is not the nature of bodhicitta. So it is in the Mahayana. So it is from the beginning that one should not be separated from the sublime intent, that we should always, that our mind should always be united with bodhicitta throughout the entirety of the path. If it is not, then our practice really won't be authentic or pure practice.
Thank you. And these, of course, we in this world, there's many problems, and also people trying to resolve or fix problems through Dharma practice and Dharma teachings, to learn from Dharma. sometimes maybe the ultimate bodhichitta or these terms and Sanskrit terms even difficult to translate in English, and seems talking about some distant realities that nothing to do with us, but it's not really in that way. It's really what we are talking about is what we can do and what we have. So what we can do is we can generate these relative bodhicitta or conventional bodhicitta or awakened mind. Or awakened mind means the minds that sort of toward to enlightenment or awakening path. So in order to do that, thinking about others' suffering and one's own suffering and removing motivation of removing those sufferings is one part, and then attain enlightenment or awakening stage is another part. There's two aspects in the bodhicitta. What I want to say here is sometimes that this Choying Dzod teaching is sometimes quite profound and quite sometimes maybe irrelevant to our life. Karisana, the chu hi becomes chu tart hi gogorwa.
Karina, chu chepe kala chu.
Chu tart hi gogorwa. Gambo be song the chu hi machina chu jilar, me song the chu hi said. The Hindu, the nye hi becomes for Choying Dzod now Karashi, the chu tart hi gogorwa. And then you don't so linking many tajik the Tedard Mato Param Chi Mandoba, Tenderoina, Tene, Roron so Nepal Pakbe, Tene Choying Dzod knowledge. Likpicha Karlan, then Ronge, Sawatan, Ronge Mitzela, Pentokan, Kariomet, that and Richena. Mandeko Jerton Yujimareta, takes on caps, Gom Japs and Rawadan, Chick. Ngang de se chogan don se te yong ta jik to jiwa chima dang ten ri chi kuna ten met su zam ge yo mare te inji meni ngang do jik ti rang sam gure se na kale khabora ti tol ro to be kale khabora ta ina ngi chi be kapso ne ne Choying Dzod nang karsong te dar ti hi go go rest churon so gi nyam chi be kapso te Choron sol rale uris.
Gongta dina nga dombe ka la sopa dina pena jiwa jima pen toya mato garidi ya buku.
Kap sna so te tengdo. Tanda gom jabya Nam de at so yor jerton chu dar ti vi kapsu ten jiwa chimal ke chala yoro. Ina ta teksang kaps turab nistajik kapsu chu nang le hiba nang ji ti gure te ma je na tene. Ta pendo ya marse na yo. Ndrigmendo karsena mo chome ten sam togu yo marwa kashi. Wrong Michel town so all pembig liksha layanduna ta lanan drigejres yena ngi hi we kapsuten ta ko pechana karchi yote hi ko
Khenpo Rinpoche is saying that when he is teaching on this text, he's really teaching it according to like how it is traditionally taught, like what is there in the text. So it is said that when explaining the Dharma, it is important to explain the Dharma as the Dharma, meaning kind of like as the traditional Dharma. So, or di shewe kap or chepe kap? Shewe kap.
Hibika teaching.
And so, Yinang Gambobagi, the Chu Nangshi Mashena, the Ningen Sung
Chu King and something. If you do not practice Dharma according
to the Dharma.
Dharma
will lead you to the three lower realms.
Yeah.
So this is what was said by Gampopa. And so for that reason, it's important, that the Dharma is taught, according to the actual Dharma. Whether, when it comes to how it is received, whether it is something that applies to you, that applies to your life, that you can make use of or not, that is for you to decide. So as you receive these teachings, then you can relate to them in a way that resonates for you. So like whatever you feel that works or that is beneficial or good, you can take that and sort of leave whatever else in neutrality, but take and apply whatever becomes useful and meaningful to your life. And so sometimes, it is the case that, for instance, with certain approaches to the Dharma, it's like, sort of meditation and mantra recitation and so forth, reciting sadhanas and texts, that the way that that is taught is maybe in some cases it is related to in that, in the future lives, this is how, this will be a benefit in the future and future lives. But in the 21st century, there are some who say, you have to kind of change the Dharma a little bit so that it is applicable to people in this day and age, because it isn't necessarily something that everybody, it sounds like, can relate to. But this is not Khenpo's approach. He says like he teaches it, according to how it is in the text, or sort of the traditional way. And again, and this is his approach in particular with this text, the Choying Dzod. So if you, in terms of your own practice, you can practice what he teaches like as it works or relates for you in your own practice.
Teneda Changchubji Sem, Todam Changchubji Sem.
Oh, the Shotangari?
Do you remember page?
Yeah, I have chapter 3 page. We got a little bit into the third shloka.
Third shloka.
What?
23.
23. Can you
Starts with a rising.
rising?
Oh, I don't see that on page 23. Oh, arising is in the middle of the verse.
Yeah, sorry, the evidence is the beginning of it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the structure of the text, I think it need to repeat again, so remind us what's going on here. It's always seems structure in the Buddhist teachings. There's He, Lam, Dribu, Sen, He. That the Teshindo, Lewu Tangbone, Akuba part, He said that He got it, Hindu, Katong. He said that Dikaps Zokshenji, He said. The He said, so dance out. Let's say combat jamna kono tambo he sai chiko goro te tenri rawo chi he gore then do da he get all made ne lam driver to so nyams lembe lam down tarto kin driver to so ne he get on younger then do he said tongmar Sajita Vijay.
So the structure, actually as a general structure for the Dharma or Dharma teachings is that of the ground, the path, and the fruition. And so this text is laid out in such a way that from the first chapter to the 9th chapter is all dealing with the first, which is the ground. So the ground is, and this has a unique meaning in the context of Dzogchen, but what it is generally speaking, is like the foundation or the basis from which the others can arise. So for instance, when you build a house, first you have to have a good foundation to build that house. So then based on the presence of the ground, then you have the path. And then the path, as the path of practice, becomes the that which leads to the ultimate fruition. So these are all like reliant one upon the other. And so the ground is what we begin with, or the ground is the basis.
Levu tangbo tang nimba ninte song simbar ta te indu levu tangbo ge nang korwa se de nyangelen de ba se chu ninte hine charwa re de hine yo mares hele hen de choryo mares hele hen do ma chorwa re dene levu nimba de hine Sharviki, Nawandang, Siba, Kamsom Sayate, Tamki, Henis, Zor Sharva, the Tengures. Then the Lev Sumbade, Hisen and the Changchup Samsana, Tandaki Parwa. Sorry. It's not my fault. Always others' fault, yeah.
Gongta dene dangpo tang nipa ki chepar ganda yimpa yapo koma songte dangpo tenda te yoa mepa tenda te jine yo gadu yena yo nyong yo mare tene nipa tenda te sharwa ki tenda chikpa drawo ko song dangpo tang nipa.
Dangpo te korwata nyangelin de basa tesu tamki hine yo marisro hi rang tol ne kres nimba ge hi rang tol ne de yore ten yina hine charbares.
Oh, okay.
Also tanda namonansi namda ki lama la sayate ko hin ne bare no Nancy here Yingsun Chobambusa, Hilly Hingwa said it in Hilly Sharwal Kokoro.
Nangwa Shing so chu purple. So then in terms of the ground, in the Dzogchen sense, as we have it here laid out in this text, so we've actually already gone through the first two chapters. And so the first chapter in dealing with or expressing the nature of the ground is mainly expressing how all the, and this is ground in the large sense or vast sense, that all the phenomena of samsara and nirvana arise within or are an expression of the ground. They arise within the ground, but they never waver from the ground. At no point in time and in any way do they ever waver from the nature of the ground itself. So all the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are primordially the nature of the ground. They arise from the ground and they never waver from the ground. So then the second chapter is mainly dealing with how even though they abide as the ground, they are also they arise from the ground, or they arise as sort of the expression, or they shine forth, they manifest. All the phenomena of the three realms of existence shine forth as the expression of the ground. So that's the difference there, is like the first one is that they never waver from the ground, and yet at the same time they shine forth. So it's almost like there's no movement, but there is movement, maybe, in a sense. And then in the third chapter is really pointing out how the ground and the mind of the awakened mind, as it is translated here, Jangchubsam, are one and the same. And so the way I had to ask Khenpo Lao, what, because I didn't quite at first understand the difference between the two chapters, the first two chapters, and he said that in the prayer that we always read, Namo Nangsi Namdaki Lama La, so I have to look at the text of the sorry.
11.
Yeah, 11. So Namo to the utterly pure, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence. So that is referring to that, like that first nature, right, which is the never wavering from the ground, appearance and existence not wavering from the ground. And then the second line, which is I offer the fundament, or actually this is not correctly translated, it should be I offer appearance and existence arising within the ground. So that's referring to that second aspect, that second nature of, even though it never wavers from the ground, it also arises from within the ground.
Thank you. 다 유바 사야지 보기가 보기기 유세도 저는 힐리 현도 주와 힐리 현도 송아지를 거거도 샤르와스도 힐리 샤르나야 히랑게 돌아 네데 베나 멜롱게 논도 숭예 샤르나 그 숭예데 멜롱 논 칠올 텐고 말고 멜롱 논 샤르쳐 이나 숭예데 멜롱 논 칠올 유송웨나 되는 거죠 숭예데 멜롱 칠올 샤르고 되는데 더 유세야드나 샤르세야드니나 근데 제발제고 거기를.
So to further kind of emphasize this point, so the term in Tibetan, which is yu, which means waver, to waver, to move. So what that is referring to is that never in any point in time does phenomena or appearance become something that is other than the nature of the ground. And then the sharwa, which means like shining forth or arising, is the appearance, the kind of reflective or reflection-like appearances that shine forth. And the example that Khenpo La gave is like the reflection that is seen in a mirror. So the reflection in the mirror shines forth, it arises, it makes itself visible, but the reflection itself is in the mirror. So if the reflection were actually outside of the mirror, or somehow the reflection and the mirror were to separate, then the reflection, then the phenomena as a reflection as such wouldn't occur. So it's actually, this kind of illustrates the way in which this functions, is that even though appearance arises, all of it occurs from within the ground. It is not other than the nature of the ground.
Lama sorry, Nama Nansi Namdak Nola. Here Hings do here Nans and here Hings and Hilly Sharas. Tandurna, he said, Jiang Mayin, but Jiki Nang. Then Jiang Rongata, Nanshin Zipichu. 샤르완 싱바 대 대삼노 당와이나 그 시코랑레 마토 텔리로도 주라 카야 요 말에 대인도 되네 나시히 인순 초반부서야 되네 나좀 코르바다 냥을인데 비추 강샤르바데 나좀 초반부 초거레스 그 부초야 좀 센데 가르스나 그런 이해네 다봐 나무 나시 남다지 라마스 나시 탐지 다바람 좀 차서도 되네 그 가르 줘봐 보나 되는 적이 오래스 이나 다 줘본 부두요 따위기 제 생각으로 따와서야 돼 롱게 고쳐지요 뒤인데 롱게 고와텔라 나시 탐지 얘는 넘버 다과 임바 딩앙은 그러바다 냥을은 데바 탐지 생용왕 샤르용왕인데 대용 조배 sortum 부초와 베메시 바타 안가서 작창이나래 적창이나래 다 된저게 투모 마인비 되는 냠네 제버전지 차고요래 대인도 냠네 뜻을 듣다라요 다 보벨로서 안가서 추 쳔보서라 top Khenpo. 차고요래서
And so, as you know, in this line of, that of Namo, the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, or to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence. So, that being essentially the ground itself, I offer appearance and existence arising from within the ground. And so that ground is not just nothingness. It isn't that there isn't anything there at all, but the ground itself is that which is the nature of the ground, all that kind of appears or manifests from within the ground, which is none other than the ground itself. And so that ground which has that potential for expression and that expression which arises from the ground is really one and the same. And so we can offer all of the phenomena of samsara and nirvana because the phenomena, whatever it is, the phenomena of samsara and nirvana is utterly pure. It is pure from the very ground. Being the nature of the ground itself is just pure, empty expression. So it depends upon the view. When that view is understood, then all of the expression, all that appears and exists, becomes a great offering. If that essence, if that nature is understood, because all phenomena is intrinsically pure. As it all is the expression of the ground or arises from within the ground, and so therefore is by its very nature a great offering. And so this is the kind of uncommon or extraordinary instructions or teachings that are unique to the traditions of Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And so in the Tibetan way of thinking or Tibetan traditions or Tibetan culture, this is really very thought of as very profound or very powerful, in its meaning.
네 남준 구접 치의 라마 도담 나온 게 라마서 해지 라마 태양 치의 라마 세야 되나 저 왕long 휴사 되네 치 휴사 가서 라마 저사 안 가지는 받쳤다고 다 되네 구접 치의 라마다 가서 강사지 남발 샤르데 바로 근데 구접 치의 라마서 도담 나온 게 라마서야 돼 랑릭 대화 첨부 예시 세난다 샹첩지 셈 세난다 돈담 나온 게 라마 세야 돼 랑릭 대화 첨부 예시 세난다 Teta nangla yo kicharawa. Nga so chanchubki semse na nrigore. Devar shikbi nyingbo se na nrigore. Ta te yindu tanda nangsi namda ji lama la sa te lama te ta todam nangi lama ranglik dewa chenpo yeshi. Te la shangna nrigore te yindu ta te shangna gopa karyor se na. Ta te simni devar shikbi nyingbo rukpa shangchubji semse ta te la tsor rangi nāngi rīpa tila jār chōgō rwa tā yīndu tōdam nāngi lāma tā nāna yō rēs. Tā tēn rī chēne, tēlā chōba mbū. Sēnā tā tāi kōni chōba mbūwa tsamjirī, mā tō ngōni chōba mbūya. Tēn rī yō mā rwa. Tā yīndu
Bena rangshing juba yimba.
Tā te tōglā xāne tēne nūrnā dēwar jī xiāngchūp jī sēm sāyā tā tōmbā nī sāyā tā sō pā jāng rīng bō chīgla xiāng mā xiā bā rāng gī sēm gī ngō wā tēlā sām nō kōr tē yāng rōng gī tōndam nāng gī lā mā tē yīn sām tē yāng tēne gui dzab chī yā lā mā tāng ndarwa yo mara ndorna nāngwa tā tōngpa nī tā sōng tōng chūpa rwa. Kāng xarwa tam chē tā simnī jī ngāng nā xar gwa rwa, kāng xarwa nāngwa ndā yōng simnī jī ngō chā tā gwa rwa, tā yīndu, tā yīn ndarwa yo mara isi. Simnī jī ngāng xar gwa rwa. Ānā kāng xarwa tā tā tam chē yōng simnī tāng Dario Maris.
Sorry, it's just very profound. So the relative lama is the lama from whom we receive empowerments from, we receive teachings from, lamas such as Garchen Rinpoche. And so the lama who appears or manifests to us as an individual. But the lama of the ultimate nature is the inner lama, which is the great bliss, the primordial awareness, the primordial wisdom, which is the great bliss of your own intrinsic awareness. And so this mind of awakening, whether we refer to it as the awakened mind as it is here, or the Buddha nature, the Tathagata Garbha, that is the inner lama, the utterly pure lama here that is we're referring to of appearance and existence. And so what it is that we're like the offering that is being made here is to, and it isn't even an offering that is specifically being made, but it is to the inner lama, that which is that ultimate nature, the true nature of your own mind, the Buddha nature that is your own intrinsic awareness. And so that is really the meaning here of the, this is the lama of the ultimate truth, or the lama of ultimate meaning. And so it isn't that, we are making, we say I offer all the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. It isn't that we're making or actively offering, it's that all that arises as appearance and existence recognized from within that natural state, which is the true meaning of the ultimate lama, becomes the spontaneous experience of offering. And so the in meaning, or ultimately, that mind of awakening, or the awakened mind, emptiness, is the essence of your own mind, is the inner lama, the ultimate lama, the inner lama, and it is not separate, though, from the relative lama. So it isn't like a relative lama is outside and the inner lama is inside. They're actually one and the same, because the appearance and emptiness are an indivisibility. And so there isn't actually any separation there. So whatever it is that arises as the expression of the true nature of mind shines within that true nature of mind. So there isn't actually any division there. So it's not, there isn't anything that isn't apart from or other than mind's essence, or the nature, the essence of mind itself. It was so much better when he said it. I'm sorry.
That's not true.
It is.
다 돈다 첨부지 쉬야라. 너나 요 갑갑스가 저 전야라 도담 난글라마테 자천 쉬우지 인상의 그접치 라마사야데 돈다면도 삼야텐데 나와 샤리아 요사마레 스닝아 조카르스나 차천 조천 강급값이나 문두값 단다 라멘 난조세 요르바 디값 때문에 라마신 작생아 된 값이는 왕시 라마네 왕시 랭고 랭도 된 라마곰 라메 내신의 우세 까만 탱갈라서 봐 트루네 mar
things there.
True ne rang ne shil temne tene wang shil answer. Ta dende ji kuzup chi lama tela zorwa yang yang tab tela teba mo gu chi tene wang shi yang yang lena tene todam nang lama rang rik da chen bu yi shi sa ya te mund jur yak rewa yore te inde ta zo te sem la sha 제대로는 롱직 추운데 추잉도 이제 고고근도 리턴지 또 고근도 삼나 다 냠랜튼 당 드리코네 근데 제와이나 추잉도 거야라 아까래 요즘 말에 텐데 근데 나로 치스 근데 나서 추잉도 만든 게 이제 제통 먹어봐 다 대토를 샤네 시텔을 샤네 Zambayana and Magoba Jirton Yojimaris.
So the Chitang Dana Wang Ji Topne Deni Di Yang Koya La Pingere.
One Hichibo Marta, Laminanjur said, Gopate Jirton Laminanjur said, Kuzupchi Laman Rao Sarkom not the Nitene Trubiajira. In a turned out Mama did to them Nangalamate Mund Yuriak Chetal, Kuzupchi Lama, Laminanjur Stingers.
But in brief, we also it is through reliance, for instance, upon the outer expression, the outer appearance, which is, or what appears to be the outer appearance of the relative lama, as a means to realize the ultimate lama, the inner lama. And so this is what, for instance, the purpose of Ngundro, or the preliminary practices, serve, for instance, in the context of Dzogchen. So we have the practice in the context of Mahamudra too. Then we have the practice of the Four-Kaya Guru, or we have the Guru Yoga. And so when we practice the Guru Yoga, we also take the 4 empowerments. So we visualize the lama appearing, externally, or the relative lama, and from their 4 places, white, red, blue, and yellow light streams forth and dissolves into our 4 places. And through this, then we receive the 4 empowerments. And it's important that there are the qualities in that process of faith and devotion present. And it's that then leads to the realization or the kind of full recognition of the ultimate meaning, the lama, the ultimate lama, the inner lama. That's kind of the objective, for instance, of that practice, is to connect with that essence of your own mind as the ultimate meaning of the lama. And so in order to understand everything that is here in the Choying Dzod, then this practice of Guru Yoga is extremely beneficial. So if you have that kind of as a foundation, then there can be this natural arising of understanding that occurs from reading the text. And so it is like in this way, if you rely on the practice, or please practice Guru Yoga like this, receiving the 4 empowerments and developing faith and devotion, in kind of in connection with or relying upon that expression of the relative lama as a means to realize, what the inner or the deeper meaning is here in this text. He says there isn't. Yeah, and then it will be easier to just understand naturally.
Okay, now we are in the text. So I read in Tibetan. If you read Tibetan, we can read together. But if you don't worry. We will read English too. So.
And just so you know, it's good, as Khenpo is reciting the Tibetan, you're also receiving transmission. So, you can also take that in. It's not just that he's reading it.
Everyone have it? Okay. Okay. Rong Jun Ye Chun Yi Choying La Pe Dong Da Ji Nge Ben Zong Ben Tanyam Se Chen Zom Ji Dan Yi De Tam Ji Gun Du Rong Yi Ye Sam Cham Nyan Yang Ba Chen Bu Yin Na Tam Ji Yin Yang A Ji Var Zong
So do we begin with the evidence?
No,
Tagni?
This one.
Given, okay.
Almost last one, yeah. Mm-hmm. Given, yeah.
Given that naturally occurring timeless awareness, the true nature of phenomena is boundless, analogies are used so that it can be ascertained through metaphor, underlying meaning, and evidence. Equal to space, that nature which subsumes everything and is without differentiation or exclusion, is exemplified by these 3 linking factors in the womb of basic space, a supremely spacious state of equalness. Everything is timelessly equal, with no time frame of either of earlier or later, no better or worse. And this is the enlightened intent of Samanta Bhadra of Vajrasattva.
Mm-hmm. here, I'm speaking English, I guess. Rangjung Yeshi, Senanda Changchup Jisen, Chuji Ying, that is a tenda Jigwa, Rogiore, Tendu, Teyesemusha. Ne, Tang Chutamji Changchup Jisen on the Shar, Nayang, Changchup Sem, Le Mayu Batang. Nó xong chụp xem gì ngon là nê đề bà dân rich chắc rồi thế yên đưa ở ta bê y cô nè khăn rich chắc rồi nó bán đề mà bê thế tên rồi.
So here we have three terms. So Rangjung Yeshi, which here is translated. I love his terms. I like his terms, but they're very different from how these terms are usually translated. So here he translates it as naturally occurring timeless awareness, is the translation of Rangjung Yeshi. A more sort of standard translation of that might be self-arisen primordial wisdom. And then the next, or that's, so two terms, that one, three terms, that one, then the awakened mind, which he refers to again and again, and then Choying Yeshi, which is, I guess he would say timeless awareness of the basic space of phenomena, or timeless awareness of Dharma Dhatu, or primordial awareness or wisdom of Dharma Dhatu. These are all the same in meaning. And what is being said here is that all phenomena, which is of that nature, which is the expression and the essence of that, it never wavers from the awakened mind, and yet like it shines forth from the awakened mind, so it abides within or as the awakened mind, and arises within it or from it, never actually wavering from that ground. And then it gives a number of examples here that to explain this.
Bê thun tak sem tanda na som hi da kir thong ngā chi kāp su tene bê thong da tak tanda lakbar zi tsok chen ki kāp su da hi mambo yong duk ten du bê se na da na gyurya la metaphor se da thun se underlying meaning ta evidence and thought jirthong thought on semas do injiglo solomon sign no tende the journal do ta ina tende some less some not on areas.
And then also there are three words that are also mentioned in this verse, which are pei, dun, and tak. So pei is example, or here it's translated as metaphor. Dun is meaning, or here it's translated as underlying meaning. And tak, which is translated here as evidence, and sometimes might be translated, for instance, as sign. So these are also arise a lot in the context of Dzogchen, and so this is like they also good to think about these three.
Ta tunda karina tamchi gundu rangi yesarmes ta dona tamchi di changchup gisem gnal du ne ranking ngane tene kaka che yo mares yesarmes na kaka che yo mares 참냠 양바 쳔보 잉롬스데 탐치 냠바 쳔보레 되어레스 다 잉롬스네 용 부킹어서 인지길 주리안데 데스칼렌도 잉 당보 잉세데 주리아 칼레르스네 롬세데 주리아 칼레 요사 테인데
Rom, Senna? Rom?
잉롬
Dilla Rom Garere.
Rooms of basic space.
Oh, womb.
Yeah, womb. Kirtan room sayad ngatapu belusula womb segmar ina amigi chua kong yorwa. Tigi nang tanda tuk kera yenchik nang teletene room segrwa. Nang kirtan nang jil segrwa.
Like the pocket.
Pocket of space? No, I don't think so.
And so dunda gare yana tamche jangsem nang la yambagi dun re sungye tangpo gare sungye.
Tā tamchi sena ngā tsō nāwa tā sīpa sena rā, pē tēn tāk sōm sena rā, ndur nā kāng yīmba tamchi te kūn dū sena xiāngchū kusam ki ngā ngā dū diyo rē srā. Dū dewa tsamji mā rē tī kāka ye juyo mā rēs, kāka che juyo mā rēs. Yesa me sayat. Chamnyam yangba chenpo ta na sayat dig inside of the expanse, the great expanse of this equality. Di nangla tene kacheju mares. Ta chanchep san sor ko rang simni der yikpinyang batala ko.
So all of this, they like all that appears and exists, as well as these the metaphor, the inner meaning, the signs or evidence, all here that is mentioned, or everything in its entirety essentially, is contained within the awakened mind. It is subsumed within the awakened mind, and arises within that, and yet cannot be separated from it. It isn't, so there's never like any distinction. So despite the fact that it arises, it is never anything different from, or nothing that can be separate. It can't be separated. It is inside the expanse of equality, and can't be made into something distinct from it. And here the term that is used, so first of all, as it says, in the womb of basic space, now basic space, which is, first of all, this term is difficult to translate, ying, to begin with, and then even more difficult to translate is what is translated here as womb, which is actually room. And what room really means in Tibetan, it's referring to the, like a woman's chuba, like the chuba of a mother that she holds her infant in kind of like that pocket or that space in her dress, her chuba, which is from the waist up. So that's what room means, is sort of that that kind of space in the chuba that the infant is swaddled in, which is why it is translated here as womb. So in Tibet, when women walk around with their babies, they hold them in that space in their dress or in their chuba.
당본데 님바세야로 데 상본데 냠바세야로 텐디 예야 메바테 and kundu sombo am dorjisim bigi gongbare se gongba se ade kundu sombo da dorjisim ba konam bigi ta tokba to momain batre so.
And so then these last lines, that everything is timelessly equal with no time frame of earlier or later, but no better or worse. This is actually how all phenomena is in reality. There isn't, first there's this and then there's that, or, this is better and this is worse. But everything is timelessly equal, and this is, as it says here, this is the enlightened intent of Samantabhadra of Vajrasattva, and so this is the uncommon sort of reality that is understood with realization. So it is the uncommon realization.
Other things, this gongba is difficult to translate in English again.
Yes,
people, of course, look dictionary to translate this as intent, but it's not really intent. We could say enlightened beings or Buddha doesn't have intentionality, one thing. And then secondly, this gongba often used as honorific term of a mind or kind of awareness that's called gongba, and then also, of course, gongba means understanding or realize. So I often use as a realization, seems a little bit better than enlightened intent. So up to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I also really don't like the word intent for gongpa.
Yeah. Now, next paragraph, 4 lines. Changjub sam ne nyimi nyingbo ngonge oza yenendo maji trebi chu me sandar lungi cho trubi chu me meto ju ni.
Awakened mind can be compared to the sun. It is utterly lucid by nature and forever uncompounded. With nothing to obscure it, it is unobstructed and spontaneously present. Without elaboration, it is the scope of the true nature of phenomena, which does not entail concepts.
다용 셈을 샤고야 지라 베세한테 이나 튼당 넘버 군드 암 자체자탄바 nd라고고요 말 자체자탄바 nd라송이나 베차고요 말와 인도 베세한테 nd라와 차지라 nd라위차 요바 텔라샤 레마도 탐지네 nd라고고요 말에 인도 당가서 장축지 샘센의 추지잉 세드 추지잉 갑갑스트네 남카다우스 니마테트네 단다 이시다우스네 텐데 단다 요르동 유르겐 체비 갑스 텐데 샤거레 텐데 단디 갑스 장축지 샘지 베테 니미닝보암 니미기 띵코 니미기 젤타고 니마다우레스 예네암 낭키 오사르바임바 두마시바임바다 니마테 나초게 두지르 마톤 두마시바 마르와 이나다 청첩 셈르지 셈지 니마테 두마시비기 니마레스 텔라 제비기 추메바다 산타르단 륜롭센네 카존다 나초노마 텐카시 디게 ndso hyuwarda santar siddhu trebyo tsani meba, tukrik meba, sharja tong tomken, ro tomken, Tell us on Talsing do. Sang Tal do. The Sang Tarsana. Tugrek Mebasana. Unimpeded. Tene Tugrek Meba Nang Hingi. Patron Ton de Vaimba. No. Tene Lundup Sangasa, that the Tokian on Mambo Higuri, Tene Drube Tomi, Matochuning on said, Druba said, the Meva, Metoba said, Tene Toba Mevatala, Condotata da we Chuni Tella, Tene Shanchub Sim, Higures.
So with these examples, the examples are, pointing like to that which actually can't really, it's like the examples can't really perfectly describe or indicate the ultimate meaning, and yet examples are given to sort of approximate the meaning. So with these are the examples for instance, awakened mind being compared to the sun, and the basic space of phenomena or dharma dhatu being compared to space. Or often that is compared to, or the example that is given is that of space. And so so these are common examples, that of either the sun or like space, which to explain the nature of this primordial awareness, and that puts it in kind of the context of subject and object, that which actually transcends the realm of subject and object. So it's like the radiance of the sun, or the sun itself, and its which has the nature of radiance, or which is radiance or luminous in its kind of quality, and yet the sun is of course compounded phenomena or conditioned phenomena, but this essence that it is referring to is unconditioned in nature. It is uncompounded phenomena. And so it is it's utterly lucid by nature and forever uncompounded, with nothing to obscure it. It is unobstructed and spontaneously present. So there is nothing that can obscure it. It is unobstructed and spontaneously present, as it says, and without elaboration, it is the scope of the true nature of phenomena, which does not entail concepts. And dinidi yaboko ma song penakashe zang gejor la sopa chi.
Trubichumeba, right?
Direbe or chigi zang gejor dang zangyen la chi song yujere dela de zang tal gingon la.
Oh, Sangtal.
Zang tal ko song yin di gingon la chi song samsong.
I think okay. Seems okay.
Okay. Dini zang tal yang dila le gyurere.
Nima.
Nimazang. So also there's this term which is zangtal, which is a common Dzogchen term, and that is often translated as unimpeded. And so this is, for instance, also what is expressed by this example of the sun, which is that there's nothing, it doesn't kind of touch or come up against in contact. It doesn't come up against anything or come into kind of like definitive contact with anything. It is unimpeded. It is not impeded, and it does not impede. And so this is kind of the meaning of Zangtal, or kind of transparent or unimpeded. And then and it is so there's also this quality then of spontaneous arising. So here it is unobstructed, and it is that's what the unimpeded is, and spontaneously present, or spontaneously accomplished, spontaneously present, which is also lundrup, and a common term in Dzogchen. And this point that it is without elaboration, it is completely free of any elaboration or proliferation, and does not fall within the realm of conceptual proliferation or the conceptual mind.
Sometimes I don't know it's correct or not, but I should say this way or not, but I somehow say it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, so I don't know. But since Choying, the subject itself is not really fixated on certain things that good versus bad, or right versus wrong, and so forth. And sometimes the subject itself reflects the writing style of it. So of course, Longchenpa is very careful to write this really poetic language and so forth, but sometimes it doesn't really matter whatever it say. It comes nice anyway. So you can see in page 21, he gives this metaphor or the analogy for Changchup Sim is space is a metaphor for our waking mind. So just now we read as a sun is metaphor for the bodhichitta. So Shuyat Katala Prasanat Gavs the Choying says Choying Drubin Tatam Chita Chava says Namkata or Kanyang Tokring Meva, Kanyang Sond Meva Tala, Kon. Shangchuk is same said, as a same said, same Rang Yivu, Sarva said, he yoned, then Nimata, got into years. Yenayang, and the Choying to Tinambe Mar Logwick up. So, take Kona, some no Tangchen, Teyong, Huji, Zachenbo in some song deva yena. Young. Sigmund of a levenda, Shangchop sent bet Nimadaure, Namka Daures, and Leviondu, Namka Daure, Nimadaures, and Tenrik Toka, Chembo Longchen, Injimini on a Namka Dawe Ingoya, Nimadawe Ingoya, Tenrik, Lord Kusutobo, Machana, Kovalaya, Pentoyo Sares.
So in any case, that to have, so it is these examples are kind of flexible, although sometimes, the Dharma Dhatu, or the basic space of phenomena, which is free from all elaboration, the metaphor that is used for that it can be commonly space, whereas maybe, with the awakened mind, because So this is what he was saying in terms of like also in the context of subject and object. So if we think object being Dharmadhatu, it's like space, subject being the essence of awareness or the awakened mind, which also possesses that clear light luminosity quality, then the more common example for that would be the sun. However, it isn't always the case because, you know, here, for instance, it is space that is describing the awakened mind, or the mind, not Dharmadhatu, but mind's essence or mind's nature. So it isn't, you know, and they perfectly describe both metaphors. And when we're reading the Dharmadhatu, when we're reading the basic space of phenomena or the Choying Dzod, it is important not to get, you know, too hung up on these like distinctions in terms of, you know, with regard to the different terms and kind of how we relate to them in a conceptual way, because that itself can kind of pose an obstacle to the overall understanding of the text. So when we come across these different examples in different contexts, they, you know, they may be more commonly kind of used to describe one aspect, and then, you know, for instance, space. It doesn't always have to be that way, that space always goes with Dharmadhatu and the sun always goes with awakened mind or Simni or Jangchupsem. So more importantly is to sort of drink in the overall meaning in order to really actually understand.
Kirtongina Dzogchengi Kapsu Tene Ying Tang Rikbas Ying Sen Yorlasha Rikbas and Yurgenlashane Ying Tang Rikbas and Tartu Nyams Long Tawa Toyander Tene Ying Rig Yermis and Ying Rig Yermit and Jays and Ying the Rivanit Yermeva Chasama Yordon Yurgen Tatimeva Chasama Ying Rig Yermis so and totally Shagre.
And part of this kind of freedom of expression, if you will, is that so in kind of a conceptual sense, there can be this kind of dividing things into a way to conceptually make sense of it, like in Dzogchen, for instance, that there are these two terms, Ying being maybe space, basic space, and then Rikpa being awareness, for instance, also same as what he's saying here with Choying and Jangsim, or awakened mind. But here with these designations, and Ying, which is the basic space, is thought of as the object, and Rikpa, or awareness, intrinsic awareness, is thought of as the subject. But ultimately, when there is real realization, there is not a division between these two. The reality is actually that Ying and Rikpa, or basic space and awareness, are one and the same. They become an indivisibility, and all subject and object becomes an indivisibility. They aren't actually separate entities.
And next paragraph is a very nice paragraph, so we can look at this paragraph. Ong bichu ko zarvi lonchu zo serdan wa go zomdaran yene yodan lunji chobzen be jondoni ji mempe ba Maje de zon bonjo me baraji sonji sim jen gun la chabaraji denaron yon jonjo samji ja.
In being empty, it is Dharmakaya. In being lucid, it is Sambhogakaya. And in being radiant, it is Nirmanakaya. The three kayas do not come together or separate, since these enlightened qualities are already and forever spontaneously present. They are not obscured by the darkness of flaws and faults. They are identical in being without transition or change throughout the three times, identical and permeating all Buddhas and ordinary beings alike. This is called naturally occurring awakened mind.
I think we discussed a little bit about this triad nature of our mind nature. Tani da te la dzogchen ji kapsu ku som sena ringdo Yeshi som sena ringdo te mayi na tani ngo rangi tukje som sena tan durna de som te nga tso shi ne kam na yong ku som te sem ji ne lo la tso yor lam ji ne kam na yong ku som te shi ne ka ngo rangi tukje som sena da ku som sena te tso yoris tsang yoris rong sem na lam gumbe ne kam na yong te tang drari yo maris and then riutobe ne kam na yong te linjirwa kaya meva ndurna zoba chenpo kum ta kum chu som senanda he lam re som kangi kapsu yena di ku som tang drari yo maris.
In the context of Dzogchen, we refer to, whether we say, for instance, the three kayas, which are expressed here, the three kayas, or the three wisdoms, or, for instance, the three of the essence, the nature, and compassion being the essence of emptiness, the nature of clarity, and the function of pervasive compassion. And so these three of the essence, the nature, and compassion are referring to the ground, the qualities of the ground, which are also no different from the qualities of the three kayas. So the three kayas are there, fully present and perfected within the ground. Also, during the time of the path, so if we think about this in terms of ground, path, and fruition, so throughout the entirety of the path, there is never any separation from these three, the essence, the nature, and compassion, as well as the three kayas being one and the same. And also during the time of the fruition, there's never any separation or wavering or any sort of new thing that is gained there at the time of fruition. So these three qualities are present throughout the entirety of the ground, path, and fruition, or whether we refer to it, for instance, also as the view, meditation, and conduct. And so it never at any point in time is there ever any separation from these three kayas?
That tima se nga tso zopa chimba mayi na yong hienda chu chobe kapsu kangi kapsu ina ta deda gyun rawa, xin rawa nga soki semla yu dewa yindu tine la gom ngan de se na la gom na yong rangi simni ji ngan na xar yong wari ngan de na yong te yindu tine chagi wari karasa na nga tso ngobo tongba sayatsi chujiku rangshi sarwa sayatsi longku tukje kunchab sayatsi truku tishu gyor tene nga tso yongku song tok setenre hibi kapsu kote truku zongte longku tok te chuku chene ndorna Sagum Bikaf, Sikirim Sogrim Bikaf, Sagum Nandi Tindrichinayon. Shindela Dane, Sagum Nandi Gori, Tindu, that the wrong Simi Devrejik Mining Botilla, Kusum Yezoji Sort, Sandu Yobate, Hako Yichibayina, then Chu Karadrum Nayon. He Yonsat, Dzod Hako Kowaindu, and the Pento Chamber. Usaris.
So not just in the context of Dzogchen, but actually this applies to all Dharma practice. So, you know, the cause or the ground, the essence of mind. Also, you know, when we are meditating on the deity, then the visualization, that experience of the deity arises, you know, from within and as the expression of the essence, the true essence of awareness, or the nature of the mind. As we recite the mantra, this shines forth from within, you know, and as an expression of that essence. And so it's good to be clear about, or kind of definitively settle upon this essence. So, you know, knowing, for instance, that the empty essence is the nature of Dharmakaya, or the empty essence is Dharmakaya. Nature, so this is referring to these three aspects that he spoke of, essence, nature, and compassion. So the essence, which is emptiness, the empty essence is the Dharmakaya, the nature being clarity, or the nature of clarity is the Sambhogakaya, and the all-pervasive compassion is the Nirmanakaya. And so likewise, when we talk about the qualities of body, speech, and mind, enlightened body, speech, and mind, body is Nirmanakaya, speech is Sambhogakaya, and mind is Dharmakaya. And so when we practice, for instance, the generation and completion stages, then these qualities, you know, of the ground as such, as the three kayas, and these qualities of the ground, are what is experienced as the arising of, for instance, the generation stage, while we're visualizing the deity and reciting the mantra. So it's good to know, in the context of those practices as well, you know, these qualities of the Buddha nature, that they are that already the mind possesses, you know, the inherent qualities of the three kayas. And if that is trusted, if that is known and understood, then there is great benefit in the practice. For whatever practice it is that one is doing.
I think today somehow our time is scarcity and limited, so we need to stop here maybe. But if you have question, I didn't give room for question and answer session, but if you have a question, maybe one or two, maybe we can discuss that. If not, then we chant dedication, and then we meet next Sunday, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, it looks like a long one.
Oh. Maybe first, Brian?
Less question, more clarification. When we go back to, sorry, I've been thinking about this for an hour now. When we look at the inner lama versus, and then the outer lama, I guess we're looking at this from the ground that.
Oh, James says he can't hear the question. If we can we have the mic? Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Let me start over again.
Okay.
So from the inner lama versus the outer lama, as we understand that we already have this mind of enlightenment inside of us, and that it's more the journey isn't necessarily an external one, which now, as we all talk about going inside, it makes sense. And as we visualize the outer lama as being that pure essence that we already are, and as the guide to realizing who we are, am I right with this?
Yes.
And then as we use that context or that ground to understand that we in essence are this mind of enlightenment, then all of us, right? So not just those practicing here, but all of us are, right? Does this become the foundation, and this understanding become the foundation for arising bodhichitta in that altruistic mind? Am I on the right track?
Yes, I think very, very on the right track, and
Very much on the right track.
no track. There is somehow, even in the reality, we cannot divide what is appearance and what is reality. But for us, it's already in this dualistic world or deluded mind. Somehow, early we talk about this, even the Dharma Dhatu and awareness we needed to set as an object or a subject, these kind of dualistic things. Yes, it's sometimes difficult to explain everything and how traditionally lay out. Is most of the time you never heard of. The traditional way of laying out is Shi Lam Dribu, the ground path fruition, and that's kind of also dealing with or how to utilize or how to familiarize these three through view, meditation, and fruit is of course arising through there. So view and meditation are what we can do, but ground path fruitions are, it's almost like there. So what we can do is we can think about it, we can believe in a certain way that kind of influence our conduct, our behavior, and our what we want to do, and how the degree of what we can do. So that is view. That's why the view is very important for that. Our view is also needed to as close as what ground is. The ground means the reality is. So if we can match our view with this reality, even conceptually, it's very powerful because that means what we believe. I believe certain things. I wanted to do some things often we do. And that view, in order to actualize or realizing or achieve that correct view, we need to meditate. So that's why the second one is through meditation, we can develop correct view if we are. So until that, even we have this pure view of samsara and nirvana are sort of indivisible or inseparable, or we conceptually can believe that, but we still have habit of our way of acting, of course, we see black and white and so forth. Discriminately, we can do that. So then view and meditation sort of become different, but through the view, the real meditation is bodhichitta, so the bodhichitta can develop through the view by meditation. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's a good way to do it. Yeah.
So then the other question
We have
here.
one more, if
have
you
one.
don't mind. Yeah.
So I would like to clarify something which relates to the motivation of teacher and disciple. At the beginning, Khenpo mentioned his style is to teach the Dharma as it is, and contrary to the modernization approach. This makes sense from teacher's perspective to make sure the original flavor of transmission passes down without personal alteration. From disciples' perspective, we should try to understand teaching the way it is supposed to be understood. Firstly, however, each of us have different main practice, different capacity, and what brings us to Dharma. So people would naturally apply the understanding of this teaching differently based on their experience. Alteration of application is fine as long as it is transforming self-grasping and serving the motivation of bodhicitta, given we understand the original meaning firsthand. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So, it's correct. It's yeah. There, I think it that what it is, what we can do. Of course, then we. As I said, what we believe in sometimes cannot follow by our practice or conduct, or these two are difficult. Even I can say samsara and nirvana are indivisible. But I'm still in the samsara, so obviously that my realization, or I cannot disappear into nirvana. Having said that, it doesn't mean I'm not in a nirvana either, because that is when we talk about more the nature of the dharmata, then everyone's in a nirvana, yeah. And how we develop that changing motivation, and these helps to become high realized beings. Is sort of we need to follow authentic text. That's why I want to try to teach as authentic as possible. I just don't want to dilute things that comfortable or make you happy in for a moment, and then maybe forget in a few minutes later. So that's sort of my motivation. But as I said, it doesn't really matter how you, it's matter maybe, but I don't know. That's up to you how you want to use these texts.
It's up to you how you receive it or
Yeah.
relate to it.
Yeah. But don't feel guilty to be here. I cannot follow and I don't believe either. So kind of these kind of struggle things. It's just if you can use part of it, maybe it has benefit. But my teaching is sometimes get people style of teaching get people upset. No,
This must be in an academic
I-
context.
no. I had few strong reactions that say, Khenpo or Rinpoche, you said that there is no suffering. So I hear you suffering. Where is there is concentration camp that 12 millions of Jewish parish. What do you mean there is no suffering? So kind of, yeah. I'm saying, yeah, maybe there are, but
Still,
then I cannot say I don't care, yeah. And then, of course, we humans always talking about humans, this environment and everything. If we don't protect this environment, then our future generation, what would they do? They never say wild animals in the jungles and oceans and so forth. They never say we need to protect them for their future generation, but they say we need to protect them for our next generation. So, yeah. Of course, that is no to talk about. Yeah. One more. Cook, yeah.
Yes, in that same line, I understand, that everything is like neutral, right? From the basis, from the ground, how intellectually. And that we need to transform our view to maybe stay in equanimity. But however, like you said, there is so much grown being done, bad things happening, people doing bad things, that, for example, this week I learned something. I was so upset and mad about someone that did something bad to me in the past and brought the memories by some reason. And I was, how se dice indignado? Indignified, outraged, and you feel that you have to do something, that you cannot stay quiet, that you need to tell that person you're doing wrong. You're harming other people, you're hurting other people.
Yeah.
But then I just look at the phone, didn't call the person, and that's when I said, I don't want to create karmic negative links to anybody. I don't want to find this person in my next life, and I need to let it go. Everything is neutral, everything is appearance, and this is my dragon. So I meditated on it, and eventually it calmed me down. But it took a lot of me. So I'm just asking if this is the way that we should continue to practice, to try to detach from our point of views, whether they're right or wrong. Anger is not good. Taking revenge is not good. So it's difficult to bring sunshine from here to here. But is that like a way that we should continue to do things? Or just a practical tip would really help.
Yeah, that's why early we talk about Brian's question that I think developed a certain belief that at least relate to or close to reality. It sounds like, and once you can develop a certain view that neutralize things, at least once you have that belief, sounds like you already have that, and then tools or meditations or methods that you can imply, because I wanted to maintain in my neutral zone of these, or view of the harmlessness, or even bodhichitta, or higher equality and so forth. As you said, in order to arranging wars with others, be quiet and meditating is good. Once you attempt, and then, of course, practices involve repetition and perseverance. It's not easy, but I think deep down we need to develop some kind of belief system that support our meditation, and a meditation that can nourish our belief, that's correct view, and then one day we hope realize and attain stability that maybe unwavering stability. The practice involves, belief is important, then we see what will happen. At least we need to try. Okay, we can chant dedication.
So on page 24 of the prayer book. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings and samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Degungpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Thank you, everyone, and all people online also. Thank you for coming, and next Sunday we still have spent together, even if we don't get along. Still need to come back. Maybe I leave this here.
Okay, thanks everybody. Just a couple announcements. So next week we will have another session with Khenpo Yeshi Rinpoche. He's going to be here teaching on Choying Dzod, and will continue to do so when Drupal Tinley is not in town. And then that following week, maybe you can help me with this announcement a little bit, Virginia. The following week we have the Mani Drupchen, which is going to start on Wednesday evening with an empowerment by Drupal Tinley Ningpo. And then Drupal Rinchen Dorje from the Chicago Ratnashri is also going to be here participating in the retreat. And so it begins on Wednesday night, and then the Drupchen will begin on Thursday morning and continue to Sunday the 17th at 5 p.m. And the sessions are continuous, so if anybody wants to volunteer for a session, if anyone would like to volunteer a meal, we need 7 meals to provide for all the participants. please see myself, Virginia, Jasna, and we can help arrange that. Was there anything else you wanted to add? Maybe the blessings of the retreat?
Yeah, sure. Just, I always like to try to encourage everybody to please come, if you can, to the Mani Drupjan, as much of it as you can, because your participation really matters. It really adds to kind of the collective experience, the meditation, the power of the blessings. And so it just would be great to have all of you, or as many as we can. And also to make that easier, know that we have, if you need to stay on site, we do have, there's both kind of indoor camping available, and we also have a couple of rooms available if you'd like to rent a room. So even if you live in the area, it might be helpful to, stay on site just to be able to participate more continuously in the Drupjan. And also it's good to know it doesn't mean that you have to be able to attend the whole thing, but really like as many people who can, of course, the better if you can manage to do that. But if you can't, you can come at any point in time. You can come and go as your schedule allows. And there, even though we'll be reciting a sadhana, so the format is that we are doing the recitation of a sadhana with visualization, then we get to the mantra, and then we recite the mantra for like several hours at a time. Then we read the text again, we go through the text, and then we start the mantra again. And it kind of goes on like this uninterruptedly for 24 hours, throughout the 4 days. And you shouldn't feel that, oh, I need to be there when the text starts. Like, it doesn't matter when you come. If you come in and if you're here, actually, if you are here, it's good to try to be there for every text recitation. Actually, that's something that Drupal has said in the past. So, please try to be present when we do read through the text together. But if you're coming and going, if you're off-site and you don't really know at what point in time you'll be coming into the temple, just come on in, whenever you get here, and stay for however long you can. But it's a really great opportunity. It's my favorite event of the year that we do here. It gets better every year. So please try to make it.
Okay, have a great day. See you soon.
Brian, that was awesome.
No, it was awesome to hear, because I'm starting to put that whole, there's a lot to take in. I'm starting to get a lot of it,
Yeah.
but just seeing how it plays out.
Ryan, before you leave, can I talk to you for 5 minutes?